I stood in the rain watching my phone as the security camera showed my sister Amanda frantically trying every door to get into the house. The house I had paid for with my life savings. The same house where just days ago she had laughed in my face and said those words that broke something inside me. My finger hovered over the app that could unlock the doors, but I remembered her cruel smile. No more. After years of being used, I finally understood what self-respect meant. Their vacation was officially over. Growing up with Amanda was always about sacrifice. From the time I was 7 and she was 4, I learned that my role as the big sister meant giving up my toys, my time, and eventually my dreams for hers. Our parents, well-intentioned but overwhelmed with their own struggles, reinforced this dynamic without realizing it. "Karen, please let Amanda have the last cookie. You know how upset she gets." Became Karen, "Can you babysit tonight?" Instead of going to prom, Amanda needs new shoes for her dance recital tomorrow. The pattern continued into adulthood with me, always being the responsible one, the fixer, the provider. By 35, I had built a successful career as a software engineer at TechVision, a growing company specializing in cybersecurity solutions. My apartment in Seattle was modest but comfortable, and my savings account healthy. I had even started dating again after a painful divorce 3 years earlier. Amanda, 32, had chosen a different path. She married Derek right after high school, had 2 beautiful children, Lily 8 and Jason 6, and bounced from one part-time job to another, while Derek pursued his dream of starting a construction company. Their financial situation had always been precarious, but they maintained an Instagram-worthy lifestyle that seemed at odds with their actual income. The frantic phone call came on a Tuesday evening in March. "Karen, we're going to lose the house." Amanda sobbed into the phone. "The bank sent a foreclosure notice. We have 60 days, the kids will be homeless." My stomach dropped. What happened? I thought Derek's business was doing well. It was, but then he lost that big contract. And then we had to replace the roof and the interest rate on our loan adjusted. And her words tumbled out between sobs. I listened as she explained their situation, feeling that familiar pull of responsibility. They had missed 6 mortgage payments. Derek's business had failed after he'd taken out personal loans to fund it. Credit card debt had spiraled out of control. "What about your parents?" I asked, knowing Derek's family had money. "They already helped us last year. They said we need to figure it out ourselves this time." Her voice broke. "Karen, I don't know what to do. Lily and Jason love their school, their friends. I can't imagine telling them we have to leave." The silence stretched between us, heavy with expectation. I knew what was coming. "I've been thinking." I finally said, the words forming before I could stop them. "I've been looking to invest in property. Maybe I could buy a house and you could rent from me until you get back on your feet." The tears stopped instantly. "Really? Oh my God, Karen, that would be amazing. You're literally saving our lives." 3 weeks later, I found myself touring properties with Amanda, a real estate agent trailing behind us. My original budget had been $300,000, a sensible investment for a modest family home. "This one has potential," I said, walking through a 3-bedroom ranch-style house priced at $295,000. "Good school district, nice yard for the kids." Amanda's nose wrinkled. "The kitchen is so outdated though, and Lily really needs her own bathroom." "She's getting to that age, you know." House after house, my suggestions were met with subtle disapproval. The properties kept getting more expensive, with Amanda finding just one more thing she couldn't compromise on. "This is the one," she finally declared. Standing in a 4-bedroom, 3B home with an updated kitchen, finished basement and in-ground pool. Price tag $450,000. "Amanda, this is way over budget," I protested. "But it's such a good investment," she countered, her eyes wide. "Property values in this neighborhood are skyrocketing. You'll make your money back in no time. Plus, there's that extra bedroom you could use as an office when you visit. You said you wanted to work remotely sometimes, right?" I hesitated. The house was beautiful, and the idea of having my own space when visiting was appealing. My financial advisor had warned against overextending myself, but the housing market was strong. "Let me think about it," I said. Later that night, Amanda texted me photos of Lily and Jason sitting on the window seat in what would be their playroom. "They're already in love with the house," the message read. "Thank you for giving them hope." I signed the papers the following week, draining my savings and taking on a mortgage that stretched my budget thin. We created a formal agreement. Amanda and Derek would pay reduced rent, maintain the property, respect my partial use of the house, and work toward financial stability. The document felt like an unnecessary formality between sisters, but my lawyer had insisted. On closing day, I handed the keys to Amanda. Her smile was radiant as she hugged me tightly. "You're the best sister ever, Karen, I'll never forget this." But something in her expression gave me pause. There was an entitlement there, a lack of gravity about the situation that bothered me. I pushed the thought away. This was about the children, about family. It would work out. For the first few months, everything seemed fine. The rent checks came on time, though always a few days late. Amanda sent regular updates and photos of home-cooked family dinners in the beautiful kitchen. 4 months after they moved in, I planned my first visit. I'd been swamped with a major project at work and was looking forward to spending time with Lily and Jason while also getting some work done in my designated office space. "Can't wait to see you," Amanda texted the night before. "The kids are so excited." When I arrived, the front yard looked slightly unkempt, with toys scattered across the lawn and flower beds overrun with weeds. Inside, the house was cluttered but mostly clean. Amanda hugged me and offered a quick tour, conspicuously skipping the room that was supposed to be my office. "What about the fourth bedroom?" I asked. "I brought my laptop and was hopping to do some work while I'm here." Amanda's smile faltered. "Oh, that. Well, Derek's been so stressed with job hunting, we thought he needed a space to unwind. We've set it up as a little game room for him. I'm sure you can work at the dining table, right?" Stunned, I followed her to the room that had been designated as my workspace in our agreement. The desk I'd imagined was gone, replaced by a massive gaming setup with multiple monitors, an expensive gaming chair, and shelves lined with collectibles. "Amanda, we agreed this would be my office when I visit," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She shrugged. "I didn't think you'd really need it. You're only here a few times a year and Derek uses it every day. It just made more sense this way." Later that evening, I went looking for the boxes of personal items I'd stored in a corner of the garage. Family photo albums, my college diploma, a few keepsakes from our parents. I found them stacked haphazardly near the garage door. Water damage visible on the bottom boxes. "Oh yeah, we had a little leak last month," Amanda said when I confronted her. "I meant to tell you about those boxes, but most of the stuff seems fine." It wasn't fine. My high school yearbooks were ruined, along with the only copies of several family photos. As I sifted through the damaged memories, I felt the first real tremor of doubt about the arrangement I'd committed to. The pattern began subtly. A rent check arriving a week late with an apologetic text about Derek's new job not processing payroll correctly. Another check 2 weeks late because Amanda had an unexpected medical bill. Then a month with no check at all and promises to make it up next month. I tried to be understanding. Family helps family after all. But as the months passed, something didn't add up. Amanda rarely answered my calls on the first try anymore. When we did talk, she had endless excuses for why now wasn't a good time for a visit. The children missed me, she assured me, but life was just so busy. Meanwhile, her Instagram told a different story. While claiming financial hardship, Amanda posted photos of a new leather sectional sofa designer, clothes for the children, and a lavish anniversary dinner at the most expensive restaurant in town. When I gently inquired about these purchases, she became defensive. The sofa was on clearance, practically free. "And Mom gave us money for our anniversary. Why are you counting every penny we spend? It feels like you don't trust us." Trust. The word hung between us, challenging me to prove I wasn't the bad guy in this situation. For my birthday, I decided to gift myself and the family a smart home system complete with doorbell camera, smart locks, and interior cameras for the common areas. I framed it as a security upgrade for the children, but privately I wanted to see what was really happening in the house I was paying for. "This is so cool," Derek said, unusually enthusiastic as he helped install the equipment. "Very high tech. Can we control everything from our phones?" "Yes, you'll both have admin access," I explained, "and I'll have access too, just for emergencies." "Of course," Amanda said, a tightness in her smile. "It's your house after all." The emphasis on "your house" struck me as odd, given how often she referred to it as our home when asking me to cover property tax or homeowners insurance. At work, things were looking up. My team had successfully launched a major security platform, and my manager Sarah called me into her office on a Friday afternoon. "We're expanding the Asia-Pacific division," she said. "We need someone to head up the development team in Singapore. 6-month assignment, significant pay increase, huge resume builder. I immediately thought of you. It was an incredible opportunity, exactly the kind of international experience I'd been hoping for." But as Sarah outlined the details, my thoughts kept returning to the house, to Amanda and the kids. 6 months away would mean 6 months without direct oversight. "I'd need a week to think about it," I said. Sarah nodded. "Take the weekend." But Karin, opportunities like this don't come around often. Don't let personal entanglements hold you back. That evening, as if she'd somehow sensed my potential freedom, Amanda called with an emergency. "We need $8,000 for house repairs," she said, her voice urgent. "There's a problem with the foundation. The inspector says if we don't fix it immediately, it could compromise the entire structure." $8,000. On top of the mortgage I was largely paying myself and the property taxes I'd covered last quarter when Amanda and Derek were a little short. "I need to see the inspection report and quotes from contractors," I said, my project manager instincts kicking in. "I can get those to you next week, but Karen, we need to put down a deposit right away. The contractor says his schedule is filling up." My suspicion grew. "What's the contractor's name? I can call them directly. Why don't you trust me?" Amanda's voice rose. "Do you think I'm making this up? The house is literally falling apart and you're interrogating me like a criminal." "I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking basic questions about a significant expense for a house that I own." The conversation deteriorated from there, ending with Amanda in tears and me feeling like the villain. I transferred $3,000 as a partial payment and requested the documentation again. It never came. 2 days later, I noticed unusual charges on our shared family cell phone plan, which I still managed. New top-of-the-line phones had been added to the account along with tablet devices I hadn't authorized. The total additional monthly charge was over $400. When confronted, Amanda claimed it was a misunderstanding. Derek needed a new phone for work, and the kids' tablets were so outdated they couldn't run their educational apps. I meant to tell you, but it slipped my mind. The evasions were adding up. I began checking the security camera footage more regularly, noticing Derek was rarely looking for work, but instead spent most days gaming in what should have been my office. Multiple food delivery orders arrived daily. The children often appeared to be managing themselves while Amanda was out for hours. The breaking point came during a chance encounter with Jenny, a mutual childhood friend who had recently visited Amanda. "Your sister's house is gorgeous," Jenny said when we met for coffee. She gave me the full tour. "That pool is amazing." "Thanks," I said automatically. "She mentioned you gave them the house as a gift. That's incredibly generous." "Karen, Amanda said you insisted they take it after their financial troubles, that you couldn't bear to see your niece and nephew struggling." I nearly choked on my latte. "She said I gave them the house as a gift." Jenny's expression turned uncertain. "That's what she told me. She said you're so successful that you wanted to share your wealth with family. Was that not right?" "No," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. "It wasn't a gift. I bought the house as an investment property. They pay rent to me, or they're supposed to." Anyway, the conversation turned awkward after that. When I got home, I decided to research the emergency foundation repairs that required $8,000. There was no foundation issue. Instead, I found Amanda's Facebook post from 2 weeks earlier. "So excited. Bahamas vacation booked for next month. 2 weeks of sun sand and no responsibilities. Thanks to my amazing husband for the surprise anniversary gift number, blessed number. Need this vacation." The post had dozens of likes and comments, including details about the 5-star resort they'd be staying at. The same resort I'd looked up once, calculating that 2 weeks there would cost approximately $8,000. The next day I made an unannounced visit to the house. No one answered the doorbell, so I used my key and the security system code to enter. The exterior looked worse than before, with gutters sagging and the once pristine landscaping now overgrown and neglected. Inside was worse. Water stains marked the ceiling in the living room, indicating a leak that had gone unrest. The beautiful hardwood floors I'd paid extra for were scratched deeply in multiple places. In the kitchen, one of the cabinet doors hung from a single hinge, and a foul smell emanated from the garbage disposal. I documented everything with photos, a knot forming in my stomach. This wasn't normal wear and tear. This was negligence bordering on destruction. The sound of a car in the driveway interrupted my inspection. Moments later, Amanda burst through the door with Lily and Jason, all three freezing at the sight of me standing in the kitchen. Aunt Karin, Lily screamed, breaking the tension as she ran to hug me. Jason followed, wrapping his arms around my waist. "We missed you so much," Jason said, his face alight with genuine happiness. "I missed you guys too," I replied, hugging them back. Despite everything, seeing my niece and nephew filled me with warmth. They at least were innocent in all this. Amanda's expression shifted from shock to forced pleasure. "Karen, what a surprise. Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" "I wanted to check on the house," I said simply. "There seem to be some maintenance issues that need addressing." Her smile tightened. "Oh, you know how it is with kids. Things get a little messy. We've been meaning to take care of a few small repairs." "Small repairs?" I gestured to the water-stained ceiling. "That looks like a significant roof leak. It's from an overflowing bathtub, not the roof," she said dismissively. "Derek's brother is a contractor and he's coming next week to fix it. No need to worry." The rest of the afternoon was tense. I spent time with Lily and Jason, who eagerly showed me their rooms and school projects. They seemed happy despite the chaos, though I noticed both had outgrown their beds, with Lily's feet hanging off the end of hers. "Why don't you have a bigger bed?" I asked her. She shrugged. "Mom says we have to wait until after their special trip, then maybe I can get one." Amanda insisted I stay for dinner, though I could tell the invitation wasn't genuine. Derek arrived home just before 6, his surprise at seeing me poorly concealed behind a hearty greeting. During the hastily prepared meal, Amanda dominated the conversation with stories about the children's achievements and neighborhood gossip. Whenever I tried to ask about the house or their finances, she skillfully changed the subject. After the children were excused, Amanda poured wine for the three of us. Her demeanor changed, becoming lighter, almost giddy. "So we have some exciting news," she announced. "Derek surprised me with an amazing anniversary gift. We're going to the Bahamas for 2 weeks. It's the break we've both been needing." I took a careful sip of wine. "That sounds expensive." Derek shifted uncomfortably. "It's important to invest in our relationship." "And when is this trip?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "We leave next Friday," Amanda said, which actually brings me to a favor I wanted to ask. She reached across the table to touch my hand. "The kids' school has spring break the second week, and we really didn't want to leave them with strangers for so long." The implication hung in the air. "You want me to watch them while you're gone?" I stated flatly. "Would you? It would be such a help. They love you so much, and you could stay here in the house. It's perfect timing with your work being so flexible." I thought about the Singapore opportunity, which I hadn't yet mentioned to them. "Actually, I've been offered a 6-month international assignment. I was planning to decide this weekend." Amanda's face fell. "You can't take that. What about the house? What about us?" "The house will still be here and you'll manage just like any other family with a landlord who doesn't live nearby." "But we're not just any family," Amanda protested. "We're your family. You can't just abandon the kids like that." "I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm considering a career opportunity." The conversation grew increasingly strained, with Amanda making comments about my selfish career focus and how some people valued family over money. Derek, sensing the tension, tried to mediate. "Look, Karen, we understand you have your own life, but this trip is really important for us. We haven't had a vacation in years and we've already paid for it. Non-refundable. Is there any way you could postpone your decision about Singapore just until after we get back?" I looked between them suddenly, seeing the situation with perfect clarity. They had spent the money meant for house repairs on a luxury vacation, assumed I would babysit without even asking first, and now were trying to make me feel guilty for prioritizing my career. "I'll think about it," I said finally. Amanda's relief was palpable. "Thank you, I know you'll do the right thing. The kids will be so happy to have 2 whole weeks with their favorite aunt." Later, as I was helping clear the dishes, Amanda's phone rang. She stepped into the living room to answer, but I could hear her side of the conversation. "Yes, it's all set. No, she's fine with it. Of course, we're still going. Don't worry, she'll watch the kids. Where else would she stay when she visits? It's not like she's a guest. She's here to babysit in the house she paid for." She laughed, then a dismissive sound that cut through me like glass. When she returned to the kitchen, I busied myself with loading the dishwasher, my mind racing with her casual cruelty. "Everything okay?" she asked, noticing my silence. "Fine," I replied. "Just thinking about all the things I need to take care of before your trip." She smiled, patting my shoulder condescendingly. "That's my responsible big sister, always thinking ahead." That night, lying in the guest bedroom with the sagging mattress and mismatched sheets, I made my decision. I smiled in the darkness, already formulating my plan. Amanda had no idea what was coming. The next morning I left early, telling Amanda I needed to handle some work issues, but would be in touch about the babysitting. Once safely away from the house, I made a series of phone calls that would change everything. My first call was to Blake Turner, a real estate attorney I'd consulted when purchasing the house. I explained the situation in detail, from the missed rent payments to the property damage to the overheard conversation. "Let me be clear about your rights," Blake said after listening patiently. "As the sole owner of the property, you have every legal right to access it, to inspect it, and to make decisions about who lives there. Your sister and her husband are tenants, even with your reduced rent family arrangement. The agreement you signed gives you specific rights that they've clearly violated." "What about the children?" I asked. "I don't want to put them in a difficult situation." "That's a personal consideration, not a legal one," Blake replied. "But documenting everything is crucial, especially if this becomes contentious." Next, I called my insurance agent to discuss the property damage. He recommended a formal inspection and agreed to send someone out the following week. "Make sure you document everything," he advised, echoing Blake. "Take photos, make videos, note dates of when damage occurred if possible." For the next 3 days, I pretended to go along with Amanda's babysitting plan while secretly laying the groundwork for my real intentions. I upgraded the smart home system remotely, adding features that would give me greater control from anywhere in the world. I researched nearby extended stay hotels that would be suitable for children if necessary. Each time I visited the house, I methodically documented more evidence of neglect while pretending to clean or organize. I found mold growing in the master bathroom shower, rodent droppings in the pantry, and a cracked window in the basement that had been covered with duct tape rather than properly repaired. The neighbors proved to be an unexpected source of information. While Amanda was grocery shopping one afternoon, I introduced myself to the couple next door, explaining that I was the homeowner and Amanda's sister. "Oh," the woman Susan looked surprised. "Amanda told us this was her house, that she and Derek bought it last year." "Really? That's interesting. I'm the one who purchased it. Actually, Amanda and her family rent from me." Susan looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry for the confusion. It's just that she's been very specific about being a homeowner when talking to the neighborhood association. She even volunteered to host the summer block party, describing it as our newly purchased home." This pattern repeated with 2 other neighbors, all of whom had been told the same story. Amanda had been systematically creating a false narrative about home ownership throughout the entire neighborhood. On the 3rd day, while helping Lily organize her bookshelf, I overheard Amanda on the phone in the next room. "No, it's fine. Karen's watching the kids. She doesn't know about any of it. Of course, she's paying for it. That's what she does. I know, right? All that money and no family of her own to spend it on. Well, someone needs to benefit from her success." The casual disdain in her voice made my stomach turn. Later, while preparing lunch, Jason innocently revealed more. "Mom says we don't have to be super careful with stuff because Aunt Karen is rich and can just buy new things if they break," he said, dangling his legs from the kitchen stool. "She says you owe it to us because you don't have your own kids to spend money on." Lily nodded. "Dad says Aunt Karen is a sucker with a guilty conscience." "What's a sucker, Aunt Karen?" I swallowed hard, maintaining my composure for their sake. "A sucker is someone who lets people take advantage of them, and your dad is wrong about me having a guilty conscience. I help because I love you, not because I feel guilty." The children accepted this without question, but the revelation of how I was disgusted when absent fueled my determination. The most shocking discovery came accidentally. While searching for a broom in the utility closet, I noticed a stack of mail with my name on it. Bills and statements that should have been forwarded to my apartment had instead been collected here. Some had been opened. Taking the stack to my guest room, I sorted through dozens of credit card statements, bank notices, and official letters. Among them were 3 credit card statements for accounts I had never opened, all in my name, all with thousands of dollars in charges. The pit in my stomach deepened as I realized what this meant. Amanda had been systematically stealing my identity, opening fraudulent accounts, and charging expensive items while I remained oblivious. The charges aligned perfectly with the timeline of their financial hardships. A designer handbag charged the same month they claimed to need help with property taxes. A $4,000 home theater system purchased when they said Jason needed emergency dental work. The evidence was undeniable and damning. That evening, I discovered the final betrayal. While searching for documentation of the previous home inspection in Derek's haphazard home office, buried under piles of gaming magazines, I found a folder labeled House Strategy. Inside was a printout about adverse possession laws, with sections highlighted and annotated in Derek's handwriting. The notes detailed how occupants could potentially claim ownership of a property after living there for a certain period under specific conditions. One note in the margin read, "Need to establish clear ownership behavior for minimum 7 years. C's visits complicate this claim." Another page contained an email exchange with someone described as a property rights attorney asking about how to transition from tenant to owner when the original owner loses interest in the property. My sister and her husband weren't just taking advantage of me. They were actively planning to legally steal my house out from under me. The depth of the betrayal was staggering. That night I lay awake formulating my plan. It would need to be decisive, but also consider the children's well-being. By morning, I knew exactly what needed to be done. The next morning, Amanda and Derek began their final preparations for the Bahamas trip, scheduled to depart the following afternoon. Their excitement was palpable, with Amanda talking non-stop about beachfront massages and sunset cruises. "We've worked so hard for this," she said, folding designer swimsuits into her new luggage. "We deserve this break," I nodded, smiling pleasantly while my mind calculated exact timelines and contingencies. "You certainly seem to have put a lot of thought into this trip. Life's too short to not enjoy it," Derek added, checking his new waterproof camera. "You should try it sometime, Karen. All work and no play, you know." "Oh, I play," I replied, "just differently than you do." That afternoon, I took Lily and Jason to the park, wanting to spend quality time with them while processing my emotions about what was to come. We played tag with the ducks and got ice cream from a local shop. Their laughter and genuine affection for me strengthened my resolve that I was doing the right thing. "I love when you visit Aunt Karen," Lily said, chocolate ice cream smeared across her cheek. "Mom and Dad are always happier when you're here." "Yeah," Jason added, "they don't fight as much." This casual comment stopped me cold. "They fight a lot." The children exchanged glances. "Sometimes," Lily said cautiously, "usually about money or the house or you me." "What do they say about me?" Jason shrugged. "Dad says you're a control freak. Mom says you're just lonely and need to feel needed. They stop talking about you when we come in the room." The honest assessment from these children cut deeper than any of the financial betrayals. My own sister had been systematically turning her children against me while simultaneously exploiting my love for them. That evening, Amanda called to casually mention they'd be extending their vacation by 3 days. "The resort offered us a special deal to stay longer," she explained. "Since you're already watching the kids, we figured, why not? That's not a problem, is it?" The audacity was breathtaking. "And when were you planning to tell me about this change?" "I'm telling you now," she said, her tone suggesting I was being unreasonable. "It's just 3 more days. It's not like you have anything else going on except for the international job opportunity I'd mentioned, except for my actual life and career. Except for the fact that she hadn't properly asked me in the first place." "I'll make it work," I said, hiding my anger behind a placid tone. "Great, you're the best." She paused. "Oh, and we might need you to front us a little spending money. The resort requires a larger deposit than we expected. We'll pay you back as soon as we return." "How much are we talking about?" "Just 2,000, 3 tops." I nearly laughed at the absurdity. "I'll think about it." "What's there to think about? It's just money, Karen. Family helps family." After hanging up, I went to the guest room and methodically opened each of the mail items addressed to me. The scope of the identity theft was even worse than I'd initially thought. Amanda and Derek hadn't opened just 3 fraudulent credit cards in my name. They'd opened 7 with a combined outstanding balance of over $30,000. I called the first credit card company explaining the situation and reporting the fraud. The customer service representative was sympathetic but direct. "You'll need to file a police report for identity theft," she explained. "Once we have that report number, we can begin the fraud investigation process." Police report, the words echoed in my mind, filing criminal charges against my own sister. It seemed unthinkable, yet the evidence was undeniable. Call after call to different financial institutions confirmed the same process would be necessary. That night, Amanda called again, her voice tense. "Derek's brother mentioned he saw you talking to the neighbors yesterday. What were you telling them?" "Just introducing myself as the homeowner," I replied honestly. Why, a long pause followed. "You don't need to go around announcing that you own the house. It makes us look bad to the neighbors. It makes you look bad that you've been lying to them." "We haven't been lying, we just simplified the situation. It's complicated to explain our arrangement. It's not complicated at all. I own the house, you rent from me, that's the arrangement." Amanda's voice turned cold. "Why are you being like this after everything we've done for you? What exactly have you done for me, Amanda? We've given you a connection to family, a place to belong. Without us, what would you have? A lonely apartment and a job that will replace you the second you burn out. We're your legacy, Karen. The kids are the closest thing to children you'll ever have." The cruelty of her words left me momentarily speechless. When I found my voice, it was steady and calm. "I think we need to have a serious conversation when you get back from your trip." "About what?" "About everything. The missed payments, the damage to the house, the credit cards you opened in my name." Dead silence followed. "Then I don't know what you're talking about." "I found the statements, Amanda, all of them, and the adverse possession research." "Were you really planning to steal my house legally after I paid for it?" "That's not Derek was just. It was research for a friend." Her voice had lost its confidence, replaced by a panicky stammer. "Look, you're blowing this out of proportion. We can talk when we get back. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything." "I'm sure there is," I replied, my voice ice, "and I look forward to hearing it." The call ended abruptly. 20 minutes later, Derek called, his tone conciliatory. "Karen, let's be reasonable here. Amanda sometimes gets carried away with financial stuff. She doesn't mean any harm. We've been under a lot of stress." "Stress doesn't explain identity theft, Derek. That's a very serious accusation. We would never do something like that to family." His voice lowered. "Besides, without actual proof, it would be your word against ours. And who do you think the kids would support if things got ugly?" The threat was unmistakable. They were prepared to use the children as emotional pawns. In that moment, something broke inside me. The last thread of familial obligation, snapping under the weight of their manipulation. "We'll discuss everything when you return," I said flatly, and hung up. I sat in the silent house, my decision crystallizing. For years, I had allowed Amanda to manipulate me through obligation, guilt, and family ties. I had sacrificed my financial security, my career opportunities, and my self-respect on the altar of family harmony. No more. Calling Sarah my boss, I accepted the Singapore position. "I can start the visa process immediately," I told her. "And yes, I can be there in 3 weeks. Next, I began systematically documenting everything. Photos of all property damage, copies of all fraudulent credit card statements, recordings of conversations with neighbors about Amanda's ownership claims, a detailed accounting of all missed rent payments, the adverse possession research with Derek's notes. By midnight, I had compiled an overwhelming case that would stand up to any legal scrutiny. The weight of what I was about to do settled over me, equal parts terrifying and liberating. After years of being the responsible one, the fixer, the provider, I was finally choosing myself. The realization brought tears, but also a profound sense of peace. Tomorrow, everything would change. Their vacation was about to become a permanent state. The next morning dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. Amanda and Derek bustled around the house, packing last-minute items for their trip and giving me hurried instructions about the children's routines. "Jason needs his blue inhaler if he starts coughing at night," Amanda said, tossing items into her carry-on. "Lily has soccer practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4. The emergency contacts are on the fridge." I nodded already. Knowing the children's schedules better than they did, we'll be fine. Derek pulled me aside while Amanda was upstairs. "About those credit card statements, Karen. There's been a misunderstanding. Amanda sometimes opens mail without checking who it's addressed to. She's not great with financial boundaries, but there's no malicious intent. We can straighten everything out when we get back. The ease with which he lied was almost impressive. I smiled non-committally. Sure, we'll sort everything out. Once they were packed, I drove them to the airport, maintaining pleasant conversation about their itinerary and the children's activities. If they noticed anything off about my demeanor, neither mentioned it too, caught up in vacation excitement to pay attention to my unusual calm. Have a fantastic trip, I said as they unloaded their luggage at the departure terminal. Don't worry about anything here, Amanda hugged me quickly. Thanks for everything. We'll bring you back a souvenir. I'm sure you will, I replied, watching them disappear into the airport. As soon as they were out of sight, I called Blake, my attorney. They're gone, I'm ready to move forward. I'll file the paperwork this afternoon, he confirmed. Have you made arrangements for the children? Working on that now. My next call was to Amanda and Derek's parents, who lived 2 hours away in Portland. Though we weren't close, they had always been fair and kind to me. Carol, it's Karen, I said when Amanda's mother answered. I need to talk to you about something important. It concerns Lily and Jason. Are they all right? Concern immediately filled her voice. They're fine, but I've discovered some troubling things about Amanda and Derek's behavior. I need your help. Carol and her husband Thomas listened in growing horror as I outlined the situation, providing evidence of the identity theft, property damage, and planned adverse possession. We had no idea, Carol said, her voice shaking. They told us they were financially stable now that you had helped them get back on their feet. They said the Bahamas trip was from Derek's work bonus. There was no bonus, I explained. They used fraudulent credit cards in my name. Thomas, who had been silent until then, spoke up. What do you need from us, Karen? I'm taking legal action to reclaim my property and protect myself financially. But I'm concerned about the children being caught in the middle. Would you be willing to take them temporarily while this is sorted out? Of course, Carol said immediately. We've been asking to have them visit more often anyway. Amanda always has excuses. I've found a nice extended stay hotel nearby that would allow them to continue at their school, I added. I'll cover the costs for as long as necessary. We arranged for them to drive down the next day. Meanwhile, I sat down with Lily and Jason for an age-appropriate conversation about the situation. Something important has come up, I explained gently. Your mom and dad may need some time to sort out some grown-up problems when they get back from their trip. During that time, you'll be staying with Grandma Carol and Grandpa Thomas. Jason's lower lip trembled. Are mom and dad in trouble? They've made some mistakes that need to be fixed, I said, not wanting to lie but also not wanting to vilify their parents. Sometimes adults make bad choices and there are consequences. Like when I broke the neighbor's window with my baseball and had to do chores to pay for it, Lily asked. Something like that. Yes, but on a bigger scale. Will we still see you, Jason? Asked, tears forming. Absolutely. I promised, hugging them both. I'll visit often and we can video chat. This is temporary while the grown-ups figure things out. The children were resilient, accepting the explanation with a mix of confusion and trust. We spent the rest of the day packing their essential belongings, making it seem like an adventure rather than a disruption. That evening, I contacted the credit bureaus to place fraud alerts on my accounts and officially filed police reports for identity theft. The officer who took my statement was sympathetic but direct. Family fraud cases are some of the most difficult, he noted. Are you sure you want to pursue this? Yes, I said firmly. They stole over $30,000 using my identity. That's not a misunderstanding or a mistake, it's a crime. The next day, Carol and Thomas arrived as promised. The children were excited to see their grandparents, making the transition smoother than I had feared. Thank you for handling this so responsibly, Carol said as we transferred the children's belongings to their car. And for thinking of the children first. They're innocent in all this, I replied. They deserve stability and honesty. After tearful goodbyes and promises to talk soon, I watched them drive away, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. Then I returned to the house to execute the final phase of my plan. First, I contacted a professional cleaning service and scheduled a deep cleaning for the following week. Next, I arranged for contractors to assess and repair the damage throughout the property. Then I systematically photographed every room as evidence of the current condition. Finally, I packed my own belongings, taking special care with the evidence I had gathered. As I prepared to leave, I received an unexpected call from one of the neighbors. "Susan Karin, I thought you should know. Amanda called me this morning asking me to check on something at the house. She seemed worried when I mentioned seeing a police car there yesterday. Is everything okay?" So they were already suspicious, reaching out to neighbors for information. "Everything's fine, Susan, just handling some paperwork. Thanks for letting me know." The call confirmed my timeline needed to accelerate. Amanda and Derek had obviously sensed something was wrong and were trying to gather intelligence remotely. I needed to act now. After one final check of the property, I stepped outside, locked the door behind me, and opened the Smart Home app on my phone. With a few taps, I deactivated all user access except my own, changed the security codes, and enabled maximum security protocols. The house was now effectively sealed to anyone but me. As I drove away, my phone rang. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. "Karen, what's going on?" Her voice was tight with panic. "Mrs. Peterson just called Derek saying you were packing things into your car." "Where are the kids?" "The kids are with your parents," I replied calmly. "They're safe and well cared for with my parents." "What the hell, you had no right to do that." "Actually, I had every right to ensure their proper care while handling this situation." "What situation? What are you talking about?" Her pretense of ignorance was wearing thin. "The identity theft situation, the property damage situation, the planning to steal my house situation. Take your pick. This is insane. We're coming home right now. That's your choice. But you should know that your access to the house has been revoked. Your keys won't work. The security codes have been changed. You can't do that. We live there. You lived there as tenants, and you violated every term of our agreement. The locks have been legally changed, and you'll be receiving formal eviction notices at your parents' address, where I assume you'll be staying." Amanda's voice turned threatening. "You'll regret this, Karen. We'll tell everyone what you did taking the children, locking us out. No one will believe your side." "Actually, I think they will. The police reports, credit bureau investigations, property damage documentation, and neighbor statements make a compelling case. Not to mention the folder of adverse possession research with Derek's notes about stealing my house." Silence followed, then a softer, calculating tone. "We're family, Karen. We can work this out. Everyone makes mistakes." "Yes, everyone makes mistakes. And now it's time to face the consequences of yours." As I ended the call, another came in. It was Derek's brother, the supposed contractor who had never actually fixed anything. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded. Amanda's hysterical, saying, "You've kidnapped their kids and locked them out of their house." "It's my house, not theirs. The children are with their grandparents. And yes, I've secured my property against people who committed identity theft and planned to steal it from me." That's not how Amanda tells it. She says you've lost your mind, that you're jealous of their family and trying to ruin their lives. I laughed, genuinely amused by the absurdity. Did she mention the 30,000 in fraudulent credit cards, or the adverse possession research, or the years of missed payments on the house I paid for? His tone changed slightly. "What are you talking about? Ask them. Better yet, wait for the legal proceedings. It's all documented." After hanging up, I drove directly to the extended stay hotel. I had arranged for Carol, Thomas, and the children. They had settled in nicely, with Lily already exploring the indoor pool and Jason organizing his toys in the spacious two-bedroom suite. Amanda called in a panic, Carol said quietly. "She claims you've had some kind of breakdown." "I expected that," I replied, showing her the folder of evidence. "This is what a breakdown of trust looks like." Carol reviewed the documents, her expression growing more pained with each page. "I don't understand how it got to this point. Where did we go wrong with her? This isn't your fault. Amanda and Derek made their own choices." My phone buzzed with an alert from the house security system. Someone was attempting to override the front door lock. A moment later, the doorbell camera activated, showing Amanda and Derek standing on the porch, their faces contorted with anger. They had cut their vacation short and returned exactly as I had anticipated. "They're at the house," I said, showing Carol the video feed. "What will you do now?" she asked. "Exactly what I planned, hold them accountable." I watched through the security camera as Amanda and Derek's confusion turned to frustration, then to rage. Derek tried his key repeatedly while Amanda banged on the door, alternating between demanding entry and pleading for response. Karin, we know you can see us. Amanda shouted at the doorbell camera. Open the door right now. When that failed, Derek attempted to pry open a window, triggering the security alarm. Within minutes, a patrol car pulled up, responding to the automated alert. The officers approached cautiously, hands near their weapons. Is there a problem here? One officer asked. This is our house and we're locked out, Derek explained, feigning calm. My sister-in-law has had some kind of mental break and changed the locks while we were on vacation. The officer looked skeptical. Do you have ID showing this as your address? Derek produced his driver's license while Amanda continued protesting. She took our children too. We need to get inside immediately. Let me check something, the officer said, returning to his vehicle to run their information. He returned moments later, his demeanor noticeably cooler. Sir, are you aware there's a fraud investigation involving this address? Derek's face fell. That's a misunderstanding. My sister-in-law is confused. According to county records, this property is owned by Karen Wilson, not Derek or Amanda Taylor. And there's an active investigation into identity theft reported by Miss Wilson. She's my sister, Amanda interjected. We have an arrangement. She's having a breakdown. The officer maintained his professional demeanor. Ma'am, I can't let you enter a property you don't own without the owner's permission. If you continue attempting forced entry, I'll have to place you under arrest for attempted breaking and entering. This is ridiculous, Amanda shouted. Call Karen, she'll explain everything. I'm right here, I said, activating the two-way audio on the doorbell camera. Officers, I'm Karen Wilson, the legal owner of this property. These individuals were tenants who violated their rental agreement and committed identity theft using my personal information. I've already filed reports with your department. The officers conferred briefly before addressing Amanda and Derek again. You'll need to leave the premises. If you have a dispute about tenant or property access, you can address it through proper legal channels. But where are we supposed to go? Amanda demanded, tears streaming down her face. Where are our children? Your children are safe with your parents, I replied through the speaker. You're welcome to join them there. As if on cue, another car pulled into the driveway. Carol and Thomas stepped out, their expressions grave. Mom, Dad, Amanda looked shocked. What are you doing here? We came to help resolve this situation, Thomas said firmly. The children are safe, we need to talk, Amanda, all of us. The officers, seeing the family members arrive, stepped back slightly but remained present. Is everyone going to remain civil here? Yes, Thomas assured them. We're taking our daughter and son-in-law with us. Thank you for your assistance. I watched through the camera as Carol and Thomas led a shell-shocked Amanda and Derek to their car. Before leaving, Thomas looked directly at the camera. We'll be in touch, Karen. Thank you for protecting the children. Once they departed, I called the officers directly. Thank you for responding so quickly. I'd like to file a formal report about the attempted break-in. We'll document the incident, the officer confirmed. Given the circumstances, you might want to consider a restraining order. I'm already working on that with my attorney, I assured him. The next few days passed in a whirlwind of legal activity. Blake filed the formal eviction notice and restraining order. The credit card companies began their fraud investigations. The cleaning service and contractors started repairing the damage to the house. A week later, I received a call from Thomas. We've had some difficult conversations with Amanda and Derek, he began. They've admitted to most of what you discovered, though. They're framing it as desperation rather than malice. That doesn't change what they did, I pointed out. No, it doesn't, he agreed. Carol and I have made it clear we won't support their behavior. We've offered them a choice. Face the full legal consequences of their actions or agree to your terms, whatever those may be. I appreciate that, Thomas. I'll have my attorney contact them with a proposal. The proposal was straightforward. Amanda and Derek could avoid criminal charges for identity theft if they agreed to pay back every fraudulent $, a formal lease agreement at market rate for the house, and maintain the property properly. Otherwise, I would pursue the maximum penalties for their crimes. After 2 days of negotiation, they accepted the terms, though not graciously. The new lease included strict conditions, regular property inspections, automatic payments from their accounts, and immediate eviction if any terms were violated. 3 months later, I returned from Singapore for a brief visit. The house looked transformed with fresh paint, repaired fixtures, and properly maintained landscaping. Inside, Derek greeted me with stiff politeness while Amanda remained in the kitchen, refusing to make eye contact. Lily and Jason, however, ran to embrace me, their excitement genuine. "Aunt Karen, did you bring us something from Singapore?" "Of course I did," I laughed, presenting them with carefully chosen gifts. "And I want to hear everything about school and soccer and your new rooms." As the children chatted happily, showing me their recent accomplishments, I noticed subtle changes in the family dynamic. Derek appeared more engaged with the children, less absorbed in gaming. Amanda, despite her lingering resentment, had visibly stepped up her parenting. That evening, after the children were in bed, I sat down with Amanda and Derek for an overdue conversation. "I know you're still angry," I began, "but I want to be clear about something. This was never about punishing you. It was about establishing boundaries and respect." Derek nodded reluctantly. "The counseling your parents suggested has been helpful. We've had to face some hard truths about our behavior." Amanda remained silent, arms crossed defensively. "The children need all of us," I continued. "I don't want to lose my relationship with them or even with you, Amanda. You're still my sister." "Are we supposed to thank you for not sending us to jail?" she finally asked, her voice bitter. "No, but you might consider what would have happened to the children if you had continued down that path. This intervention wasn't just about the house or the money, it was about breaking a destructive pattern before it destroyed your family." Amanda's expression softened slightly. "The kids miss you. They ask about you all the time. I miss them too. That's why I'm hoping we can find a way forward. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation. The trust was still broken, the wounds still fresh. But it was a start, a foundation for rebuilding with clear boundaries and honest expectations." 6 months later, I returned to find more progress. Amanda had found a part-time job she enjoyed. Derek had started a legitimate small business installing home security systems, ironically inspired by the system I had used to lock them out. The children were thriving in their stable environment. The house was now truly their home, earned through honest work and proper care rather than manipulation and entitlement. And I had reclaimed something equally valuable, my self-respect and the knowledge that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for family is to hold them accountable. Today, our relationship continues to heal one honest conversation at a time. The experience taught me that true family support isn't about enabling harmful behavior or sacrificing yourself on the altar of obligation. It's about loving people enough to establish boundaries even when it hurts. Sometimes you have to lock people out before they can truly find their way home. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision to establish boundaries with someone you love? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember that self-respect is never selfish. It's the foundation for all healthy relationships. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next story.